A long time ago in the ancient land of Judea, there lived a very humble man named James, son of Alphaeus. He was a simple man who didn't have much, but he had a deep faith in God and a heart full of love for his fellow man. He was known throughout the region for his quiet and humble nature, always putting the needs of others before his own. One day, James heard about a wise teacher who was traveling through the area, and he wanted to meet him. As he walked along dusty roads, he passed through small villages and fields of grain, all the while keeping an eye out for any sign of the teacher. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, James began to feel discouraged. He had walked for hours and still hadn't found anyone who knew where the teacher was. So he decided to go over and ask them if they had seen the teacher. To his great joy, they told him that the teacher was resting under a nearby tree and would be happy to see him. When James finally met the teacher, he was amazed by his wisdom and compassion. From that moment on, he became one of his most faithful followers, traveling with him from village to village. Listening to his teachings and helping to spread his message of love and forgiveness, he spent his days learning from the teacher and his nights sleeping beside his friends around campfires, sharing stories and making plans for the future. Throughout their travels, the teacher often spoke to James, asking his opinion on various matters and acknowledging his wisdom and insight. Despite this, James remained humble and never sought the spotlight. He was content to simply follow the teacher and learn from him, always striving to be a better person. One day, as the group was walking through a village, they came across a poor widow sitting on a stone house crying. Although the disciples were reluctant, knowing they couldn't raise the dead, James stepped forward. He gently placed his hand on the woman's shoulder and told her not to worry. He promised to take care of everything and asked her to come with him to a quiet place. The other disciples agreed, and after several hours of prayer, they went back to the widow's house. James led the way, and when they entered the room where the boy lay, he told everyone to have faith in God. Then, placing his hands on the boy's body, he began to pray. As he prayed, the boy's body began to move, and soon he was sitting up and crying. Everyone was amazed, and James simply smiled and said, "Have faith in God." The widow was overjoyed and thanked James for saving her son. She offered to make them all food, but they declined and continued on their journey. As they traveled, the other disciples couldn't understand how James had raised the boy from the dead. They asked him to explain it, but he only smiled and told them that anything is possible if you believe in God. He also reminded them that they shouldn't perform miracles for glory or recognition, but only to help those in need. James continued to travel with the teacher for many years, learning from him and helping to spread his message. He was always there to lend a helping hand to those in need and never asked for anything in return. He was content with simply living a life of service and helping others to understand the teachings of the teacher. Then one day, the teacher gathered his followers together and told them that the time had come for him to leave. He explained that he had been sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel to bring them back to God, but that now his mission was complete, and he would be returning to his Father in heaven. The disciples were devastated and begged the teacher to stay, but he told them that he had to go. He then gave them one final message, telling them to remain in love and to keep his teachings in their hearts. With that, he left them and began his journey to Jerusalem, where he would eventually be crucified. After the teacher was gone, James and the other disciples knew that they had to continue his work. They gathered together and began to discuss what they should do. James, being the humble man that he was, suggested that they should go out into the world and share the message of love and forgiveness with everyone they met. The other disciples agreed, and so they went out into the world, each going their separate ways. James traveled from town to town, sharing the message of the teacher and helping those in need. He visited the sick and the poor, offering them food and encouraging them to have faith in God. He also taught people about the importance of loving one another and forgiving those who had wronged them. And wherever he went, people listened to his message and believed in God. As the years passed, James continued to travel and teach until he was an old man. His hair was white as snow, and his beard reached down to his chest. But even in his old age, he was full of energy and enthusiasm. He never lost his passion for teaching and helping others, and he continued to do so until his dying day. Finally, the day came when James, son of Alphaeus, looked up into the sky for the last time. He had been traveling through a small village when he felt a sudden weakness come over him, sat down on a nearby rock and closed his eyes, and when the villagers saw him, they rushed to his side. They had heard about the great teacher who had come to their town, and they wanted to see him. When they looked up into his eyes, they could see that he was peaceful and content, and they knew that he was in the presence of God. So the villagers gathered around James and began to pray. They prayed for his soul and for the strength to continue the work that he had started. And as they prayed, James's body slowly began to fade away until it was just a skeleton. The villagers were heartbroken, but they knew that James was in a better place. They buried his bones in a nearby field and made a small monument over his grave. And every year they came to this place to remember him and to pray for his intercession. And that is the story of James, son of Alphaeus, a simple man who lived a simple life, but who made a big difference in the world. His story teaches us that we don't need to be rich or famous to make an impact. All we need is a heart full of love and a willingness to help others. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button below to let us know. We'd also appreciate it if you could subscribe to our channel so you never miss an upload. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.